All right, Alonzo. Last live stream broke down and could not actually hear the answer, but how do you correctly validate an idea? What people say and do are very different, and people close to you might not be very objective and overinflate your confidence, but it's not actually the market speaking. How do you do it correctly? So you want to get out into the market. So how do you get a down and dirty version of that, and then you're going to escalate? Okay, so this is what we did at Quest. We put something, a bar out into the market that we can make at home with homemade ingredients, so off the shelf stuff. And then we gave it to friends and family. And they were like, whoa, these are really good. And then as we learned more about how to make a product that was shelf stable, we realized, okay, we're going to need to change our fundamental approach to the recipe. Okay, cool. So now let's do a version of that they call benchtop samples. So you're getting the ingredients in as small quantities as humanly possible. You're making them maybe 12 bars at a time, really small batches. You're trying them, you're giving them out to other people. When you're getting the positive feedback and it, does like it actually survives the amount of time that you would expect it to survive on a shelf, for instance. That was our big concern. Then it's like, okay, cool. I'm going to make these in really small quantities. I'm going to give them away for free and let's see how people respond. And at first you realize, okay, nobody wants to take these because people have these negative ideas. So now it's like, oh, I'm not just testing my product, I'm testing my marketing. So how do I convince people that protein bars are not candy bars in disguise anymore, at least not with us? And so you get it out in these really small quantities and you see who comes back and buys the product. So it's like, okay, could I give it away? It was actually harder than I thought. Okay, well, when I give it away to people that actually want it, do they end up buying? Yes, they do. Okay, well, then you start making in slightly larger quantities. So instead of making them at home, we're now making them in a kitchen that we rent by the hour. So it's still very small time, but we're making them in still very limited quantities. And then you're selling them. And now it's like, okay, am I able to sell them profitably? I am able to sell them profitably. Okay, cool. Well, let's start scaling. And so you start now reaching out to real manufacturers of ingredients at scale. And you then, instead of making them, let's say 12 bars at a time, you're making them 1,200 bars at a time. And then when you're getting positive feedback there, then it's like, okay, can we make them in 5,000 bars at a time? And what do you need in terms of equipment, blah, blah, blah. And you just escalate like that. You keep laddering up. But if you find that your friends and family are like, oh man, these are great, but then you try to get people to pay for them and nobody wants to pay for them, stop. Do not try to make them in huge quantities. That's where you want to figure out why didn't anybody want to buy them. And if you can solve for that problem fast enough, then you've got a business. And that's how you validate, one step at a time. Same thing with the interview show, right? So you're interviewing the coolest person that you know personally. And then it's like you reach out to people that you can get on the show that maybe you don't know, but they're going to be excited just to have somebody asking them questions. And then you start ratcheting up if you have the views to justify it. And you're in the comments and you're reading. What do people like? What do they don't like? How do you do it in a game? So you build very basic elements of the game in what you call gray boxing. This is exactly what we're doing. And so the way that we'll validate the next mode of the game is we're going to get you guys in to play. And obviously we do play tests with people that are in our age demographic and all that stuff. You get their feedback, you see what people like, what they don't like, etc., etc. Always scaling up. So you don't want to start big. So when you guys play the next mode of Project Kaizen, you are going to see that it is super ugly and super awkward because we don't want to put any money into refining it until we know that it's actually fun to play. Now, there is a chicken and egg problem, of course, because the game will get more fun to play as the game starts looking better and being less awkward and all that. But you have to find a way to balance the system. Just is the way that it is, chat.